Welcome back to another CleanTechnica car review. For today, we are looking at the 2022 Kia EV6 GT-Line rear-wheel drive. This is Kia's first vehicle on their new E-GMP or Electric Global Modular platform, and this car will be the basis for all future EVs that Kia comes out with. So we're going to do a full in-depth review of this EV6 GT-Line.
So before we jump into the exterior design of the Kia EV6, let's talk some specs and pricing. First off, the EV6 GT-Line rear-wheel drive starts at about $54,000. Now, what exactly does that give you? That gives you a 77.4 kilowatt-hour battery pack, and with the rear-wheel drive, that gives you a driving estimated range of about 310 miles. Now, if you were to go with an all-wheel drive variant, that does drop your range to about 274 miles of range, so that does impact your efficiency slightly. However, the all-wheel drive gives you a lot more power than the rear-wheel drive. The rear-wheel drive gives you about 225 horsepower and about 258 pound-feet of torque, where if you went with the all-wheel drive, that gives you about 320 horsepower and about 445 pound-feet of torque. So there is a little bit of a power difference, and driving the rear-wheel drive, it does feel a little bit slower, but we'll get into driving impressions later on in the video. Now, in terms of curb weight, it is about 4,400 pounds, so it is a little bit of a heavier vehicle. And believe it or not, the GT-Line rear-wheel drive EV6 can also tow about 2,300 pounds. So overall, the specs are pretty impressive for the price point. So now let's talk about the front end of the Kia EV6, and I really think that this is where the Kia EV6 shines. It is an absolutely beautiful front end, and I really think Kia did a good job. Now, one thing to mention, some people like the front end, some people don't. I personally really like how this looks, especially with this optional steel matte gray color. This is a $695 option, but if you are looking for metallic colors, Kia does offer a lot of different variants, especially a metallic version of the steel gray, which is really nice. So now moving down to the headlight design, these headlights are really nice. You have this nice LED accent, which this actually acts as the blinker as well. And you have these LED reflector lights. Now, this is one of the faults that we found with the Kia EV6. These lights are not very bright in wet weather. They're pretty good in dry weather, but I kind of wish that these had more of a projector style that you could find in other markets. And I really hope that Kia brings this over to North America. I really think that those projector style headlights would work very well. But overall, it does have a very nice design. This is recessed with some piano black accents, which then ties into the front portion of the grille. And you do have a 360 camera system that does come standard on the GT line, which is also optional on other trims, so just bear that in mind. And dropping down to the bottom of the EV6 GT line, it's very, very aggressive. You have this nice cutout right here where your active grille shutters are behind this cutout. And then you have your driving sensors up front as well. And this really nice aggressive front fender. If you get the non-GT line, this is going to be a little bit more rounded off. However, the GT line makes it look very sporty. So now, earlier mentioned, we talked about the clamshell design of the front, but we want to talk about what's actually underneath that. So in order to pop it, there is a manual lever on the inside. You cannot do that from the key fob, which is kind of a downside. But once this is lifted up, I do want to mention that this is extremely heavy. But as I said, this is a clamshell design, which is really unique because some vehicles on the market do not offer something like that. So I think it's a really cool design. But what's underneath here is you get a little storage. I mean, it's not much, it's kind of small, but you could put your charge port in here, or you might be able to put like a t-shirt or something in there as you're, as you're shopping. But overall, the storage in the front is kind of small compared to some competitors, so definitely bear that in mind. So now moving on to the side of the Kia EV6, and this is where one of my favorite design features of the vehicle lies, but we'll get to that in one second. Up front, the headlight unit actually reaches into the side of the vehicle, and then you have these really nice body color rear wheels. Just bear in mind though, if you are looking for this, you do have to go with the GT line or above. If you go with any of the lower trims, this will actually be a piano black textured cladding, which does look nice, but just bear that in mind. It is a very different design style. And moving on to the rims, these are actually 19-inch wheels. If you're looking to get bigger wheels, you have to go with the GT line all-wheel drive, and that gives you 20-inch 5-spoke rims. These 19s can actually be found on pretty much all the trims lower than that one, so bear that in mind. I think they look very nice, very aero-focused. You get these really nice machine finish design as well. Moving on to the side of the vehicle, the piano black can also be found on the silhouette, on the pillars here as well as the pillars here. And on the mirror caps, that can be a good thing, that can be a bad thing. Piano black tends to scratch relatively easily, so just bear that in mind when you are shopping for the Kia EV6. This can be found on every single trim. The piano black also lines down here on the GT line, and then on the side of the vehicle you have these really nice flush door handles that when the vehicle is locked, they'll be recessed, and then when you unlock the vehicle, it actually pops out and the mirrors unfold, and then all you have to do is lift this to open the door. So it works really well, keeps the vehicle nice and aerodynamic. And now moving on to this portion of the EV6, this is one of my favorite design styles of the EV6. It almost looks like a four-door shooting brake, and I really think Kia's designers did a fantastic job with this. You have this nice piano black that does break up the lower body of the vehicle to the top, and you get this really unique spoiler that actually has puddle lights under here. So that's a really nice feature. And then the taillights then will wrap around the vehicle. So we'll move on to the back of the vehicle. So now the back end of the Kia EV6 is one of the most beautiful design aspects of the EV6. I know a lot of people are either a really big fan of it or they may not be. Me personally, I think Kia did a really good job with this. It has this really beautiful design of LED lights that literally stretches across the entire rear end of the vehicle. You can find your brake lights on each section, and then it wraps around into the new Kia emblem with EV6, and then this really nice chrome trim that also lines the trunk. And then down here, you're gonna find more piano black, and then underneath, this is where it's going to differ between the different trims as well, so bear that in mind. The GT line does get this unique, more sporty rear tail light. It's LED. LED reverse lights are gonna be found on all trims, but this one is going to be a little bit more sporty since it is the GT line version of the EV6. But overall, I really think that the design of the EV6, especially the back, looks absolutely beautiful.
Now that we've talked about the exterior, let's dive into the inside of what this GT line is like. So opening up the door here, this GT line does have the optional seats, but we're going to focus on the door cards for a second. So in the GT line, you do get pretty much a black door card, for example. This is kind of like a pleather right up here, like the vegan leather. This is soft touch, which is really nice. The GT line in particular does get this nice little white accent. It is kind of like a hard plastic, and so is it down here. Now for window switches, this is kind of a pet peeve of mine, is always gloss black, and that's only on the GT line as well. So if you go for the window to the light, you're not going to get that. But it does show fingerprints and dust, and you constantly have to clean it. So it's kind of a thing that I really don't like. But what's really nice is you do have all your window switches here. They are fully powered, and you can do a power mirror as well. Only the front windows are fully operational up and down. The rear, you have to hold those down, so those are not fully automatic up and down. You have a nice bin here. You can put in your glass case or even a small water bottle. The nice two accents though on the door cards are part of the Meridian 14 speaker sound system, and we'll get into how that sounds in a minute. But the grates here on the speakers are actually really nice. They are kind of like a metal, but they do look really nice. But hopping into the EV6 GT line, this GT line does have the optional black and suede seats. These are $295. You can get different color options for this EV6, so it's a wide range of options depending on which trim you pick. But these are very comfortable. You do get a 8-way power driver and passenger seat, also with a 2-way power lumbar as well. They are memory for the driver, so you do have 2 memory settings in case you have a short driver like me or a tall driver like Brandon. And then here on the EV6, the dash actually looks really pretty. This GT line does have a unique top part here. It is kind of like a weird soft and hard injection molded plastic up here, but it does have a really unique design, and it carries it across to the passenger side. But here's the steering wheel on the EV6. This rear drive one that we have does not have a heated steering wheel, but it is leather wrapped. It is really nice. It's a very unique shape, and we'll get into one of the things we don't like about it in our driving dynamics of the EV6. But you have all your controls here. You have your parking brake, traction control. You can actually hold this button to unlock the hatch in the back. You can also open your charge port if you want to. And there's really nice air vents. What's really cool, and we'll show you guys too, is the ambient lighting is really cool in this EV6 GT line. So closing the door on the EV6, it does have a really nice solid thunk, and I kind of expect that for it being a brand new platform for Kia. So starting the vehicle, one thing that I do like are the alloy pedals that have plus and minus that look really cool. But you put your foot on the brake, and then the push button start is actually right here, and it says EV. But it'll start up here, and these are the displays. First, I want to talk about the center console that we have here. So it kind of has like a floating design in a way, which looks really unique. You have lots of storage down here on the bottom. You also have lots of USB and 12-volt outlets all throughout the car, so you can plug in all of your devices. But this center console, kind of like the floating center console, it looks really unique. So what's really nice about the EV6 GT line is you do have ventilated and heated seats, which really come in handy depending on the weather. Moving down, you do have your selector for your gear shift. So the P is in the middle, and then you can also if you put your foot on the brake, you can put it into reverse. Then you switch all the way over to drive, press the P to put it into park. What's really nice is you have buttons here so you can put on the camera, so you can see the 360 camera with the surround view whenever it pops up. You can turn on and off auto hold here in the middle, and then you can turn on and off your parking sensors if you wish. There is nice size cup holders that do fit a good amount of cups, and you can fit a Starbucks cup in there if you like. There's also a little console here, which is where I kind of put the key, which is nice for that. What's really nice about the EV6 is it does come with a wireless charger. Now I have the 14 Pro, just the regular 14 Pro, and I found that if I don't have the larger phone, I kind of have to move my phone around a little bit to get it to charge, but then once it charges, it stays in place. What's really nice about the center console here is this pattern, which is on the dashboard, actually carries to this, but this is actually soft and really squishy, so it's good for my elbows. Once you lift up, there is a good amount of storage in here, so you can fit whatever you need to in here. But then what I really like about this GT line in particular is you do get the black headliner, but in the GT line in particular, unlike the other lower models such as the Light and the Wind, you actually get the wide mode sunroof, which you can open with a click of the button, which is really nice. So we'll talk about how headroom is. For me as a short driver, I have plenty of headroom. But if you're tall like Brandon, and we'll show you guys, he does suffer a little bit from headroom. At least you can close that. What's really nice about the EV6 too is you get full LED headlights, which is really great. So that way you can actually see there's actually a nice little accent here. You do have your Kia Connect button in your emergency call if you need that too. And you can click on and off the lights up here. And you can also tap on each light too to turn it on and off. Now the visors themselves, they do move out. They are telescoping, so they can block out all the sunlight that you have. You do have a little light here as well, which is also LED and looks really nice. Now, the thing that I really want to talk about here on the EV6 are the panoramic screens that you have here. So each of them are 12.3 inches, and they offer a wide range of information and data. So the first one that you're going to have is going to be your driving cluster, which will give you your miles per hour, all of your safety assist settings for the Kia DriveWise packages, and then all this information you will need, such as your range, how many miles you have, and your different drive modes, and what pedal assist you are in for your regen. Now, what I really like is this kind of wraps around and it looks really nice. This is going to be your infotainment here on the Kia EV6. And what's really nice is you have a wide range of options. What's unique about the EV6, and something I kind of still have to get used to, is there's no physical buttons. You just have the touch capacitive buttons. But if you want to switch from, say, looking at your infotainment to changing the climate, you just press the touch button here, and that changes and displays your climate control. Once you get used to it, you kind of just set it and then forget it, and then you're good to go once you get that set up. But it's really not that big of a deal. And it's really easy, it's really quick, it responds really quickly as well, even upon startup, to get the temperature exactly how you need it. Now, another thing that I love about the accents right above these touch capacitive buttons are actually the accents that you have for your ambient lighting. They kind of carry the same lines here from the top of the dash down here to the ambient lighting, and it looks really great, and there is a multitude of colors. You can pick your own custom color if you like to, which looks really nice. But these air vents are really nice too. They have a nice click to them as well. And overall, the front of the Kia EV6 is a great place to be, but let's check out that back seat. So we're gonna climb back into the rear seat of the EV6 GT line, and I have the seat position in what is my height as a short driver, but look how much space I have. It kind of feels like a limo here in the back of the EV6, which is really nice. The only thing is this sunroof does kind of cut into this headspace going back, but at my height at 5'4", I still have plenty of height and plenty of space. We'll put Brandon back here to see how he feels as well. At least you do have really nice accents for the lights, the LED as well. And this is still a great place to be. You still have the same materials that you do up front. You do have the suede up top and kind of like the leather accents wrapping around. This GT line does have the white accents here, but you can also get full white leather with the suede accents if you prefer, or this is the black accent here. You do have a good armrest, and you do have cup holders back here for smaller drinks if you like. If not, you can also put in your drinks here in this little little bin here with the water bottle. The only thing that I noticed here about the back is the speakers just have the regular plastic on them for the Meridian sound system. I kind of wish they would have carried the metal grates from the front to the back just to kind of match that. But you do have a really unique accent here for the other tweeter here on the door. But same doors here. What I like about the EV6 is instead of having the air vents here on the center console, you actually have it here on the pillar. So you can actually get exactly the exact amount of airflow that you want to have. Now, this EV6 does not have heated rear seats in particular, but what is nice about these seats is you do have USB-C charging. So if your back passengers need to charge their devices, they can do so here. But I think this is a great place to be in the EV6.
So now that Tyler showed how much headspace he has, and he did mention how limited it is for taller drivers, this is my seating position. The driver's seat is all the way down, and due to the sunroof that does open, I do have a limited amount of headroom, which is kind of disappointing for especially how big this vehicle appears on the outside as well as how much space is on the inside. I kind of wish that Kia would have done a better job of making this a little bit more low profile if possible for taller drivers. But the non-GT line versions that don't have the sunroof, there's plenty of headspace for me. So just bear in mind if you are taller and you're looking for the sunroof, if you have a seating position similar to mine, you might run into that issue. Now for the back seat as a taller passenger, as you can see, I have a ton of legroom based on where my seating position was with the driver's seat, which is really impressive. As Tyler mentioned, this feels like a limo. It's cavernous back here in terms of legroom. The only downside is, as a taller driver with the seat reclined back, I do have a limited amount of headroom too if I am trying to rest my head on the headrest. So it's a little disappointing. I feel like since this vehicle does have a flat roof line, you should have a little bit more headspace in the back. But overall, I mean, it's not bad. I don't know if I'd want to go on longer drives in the back seat as a taller passenger. That's just my opinion. But at least you can stretch out your legs.
Before we get into driving dynamics, last thing we want to talk about is cargo space. So looking at the exterior of the EV6, you would think that the cargo volume would be cavernous, but there's a little bit of a surprise. It is a little bit less than what we expect, but there's still plenty of cargo space. What I like about the EV6 is, say your hands are full of groceries from your latest Costco trip. You can just walk to the back of the EV6 and stand right here as long as the key fob is on you. And then after a couple beeps, the back hatch will actually open up, and it is fully powered, which is actually really nice. The button to close it is actually up top here as well, and there is a grab handle in case you need that as well. With the seats up, the second row seats up, you're looking at about 24.4 cubic feet of space. If you fold the seats down, you'll get about 50.2 cubic feet of space. Now, how you fold the seats down? There are actually little levers here inside the cargo area, right here. You just pull on that lever, and then it folds right down. It's actually a pretty flat load floor, so you can actually fit quite a lot back there. What I actually like about the EV6 in the cargo space is you do have a really nice cargo cover that you can move here. That way, if anybody's looking at the back window, they can't see what you have behind. This is actually a nice cover. Now, you do have a 12-volt outlet back here as well in case you need that too, which is really nice. You do have cargo tie downs throughout the vehicle as well. So you have 4 of these in case you need to tie anything down. And then underneath the load floor here, you have a little bit of storage. This is where your sub is going to sit, your subwoofer for the Meridian sound system. But at least you have some decent storage to put your tire mobility kit and also your V2L adapter if you have that as well. So there's a little bit of storage down here. I kind of wish there would have been a little bit more, but this is still plenty for all your Costco trips that you take.
So let's start off with driving impressions of the Kia EV6 GT-Line rear-wheel drive. It does really well in the city, and even though it does have a little less horsepower versus like the all-wheel drive variants of the EV6, it does get up to speed very quickly. You won't have any issues getting up to 35 or 40 miles per hour. The interior is very nice. It's very quiet on these city streets, and it does handle bumps really well. The only thing that we have noticed is that there is some body roll when you are going around some tight turns and more during spirited driving. So that's the only thing that we've really noticed. Steering feel is a little bit more on the numb side. I kind of wish that there was a little bit more steering impact or more steering feel. I wish that it felt tighter, especially since the EV6 does look so sporty on the outside. But maneuverability, parking lots, it's not hard at all to drive this vehicle.
It's really easy, yeah. Even when you change the different drive modes, you have Eco, then you have normal, then you have Sport. Even in Sport, it tightens up the steering a little bit, but it's not enough because you really don't know what the front wheels are doing most of the time. Hopefully that's an improvement for the actual GT version of this vehicle, but otherwise this vehicle is very quiet, very serene to be in. Even as a passenger, it's very comfortable. I have my ventilated seats on because it is a little warm today, but it is a lot of fun, even though it's rear-wheel drive, to take it around these roundabouts that we have here. Yeah. It's a lot of fun.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and with the rear-wheel drive, if you really punch it when you're coming out of a turn, the vehicle will actually drift a little bit in the back. You will feel a little bit of a lack of control, but in a fun way. But that's really only if you're punching or pushing the accelerator. And another thing we want to note as we're coming to a stop is regen is pretty good on the EV6. One thing that we don't like is that it does have one pedal driving. However, you have these pedals on the steering column that allows you to adjust the regen, which is good. It gives adjustability for drivers. But if you want the I pedal, which is one pedal, every time you put the vehicle into reverse, or if you put it in park, or if you turn it off, it does not remember your regen setting in terms of one pedal driving. It will remember it for the other levels, but not one pedal driving. So every time you put the vehicle in drive or turn it on, you have to remember to put it back in regen. One thing that we also noted too is that when you're on the highway and you put it in cruise control and you have one pedal driving on, it will turn it off immediately for cruise while you're on cruise. If you turn off cruise, it turns on one pedal driving back on, which is kind of abrupt because you definitely feel yourself start slowing down a lot faster than you expect yourself to.
And we'll demonstrate that on the highway, but I really hope that there's going to be a software update that Kia can put out, because there are driver profiles here on the Kia, so it would be nice just to tie in your pedal preference. If you want I pedal, you want level 3, you want level 2, level 1. It really should be tied to the user profile or even to the memory settings that the driver has for their seats. It'd be really nice to actually see that. But other than that, the vehicle is really comfortable to be in.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna jump on the highway, and I wanted to show what it's like to... The rear end definitely does like to slide out, which is actually, it makes for a lot of fun. All right, so we're on the highway. What we're gonna do, we want to show the Kia Highway Drive Assist 2 package that comes standard on the GT lines, but optional as an optional package on the wind trim. So if you step down and trim, what you do is there's the button, the top button on the top left. We're going to engage that for Highway Driving Assist. It's going to set our cruise automatically into our area. We can go 5 over, so we're going to go ahead and set it to that. What's nice is you can have your lane change and lane avoidance button here, so we have that on. You can set your distance with this bottom left button here, so we're going to keep it at a good distance. Then we're going to demonstrate one of the cool features actually of the Highway Driving Assist 2 is the fact that you can actually do auto lane change, which is really nice. And that's because there's so many different sensors and cameras here in the EV6 that allows the car to do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to put our blinker on, keep our hands on the wheel, and look for any cars. There's no there. And the car automatically moved over to its side, which is, it's so cool to be able to experience that in a vehicle. And it really helps, especially with long distance driving, to be able to help you stay stress-free and help you feel relaxed as the car is helping you out. We'll go ahead and move into the lane back over here. And the vehicle does actually a really great job with keeping itself centered. There are times you can actually feel, when you have your hands on the steering wheel here, you can actually feel the car making its corrections consistently, which is actually a good thing. There are times when you might hit a bigger bump on the highway and you really feel it trying to correct itself. But it's still a really great and competent system. But as a note, always keep your eyes and hands on the wheel and straight forward at all times. You know, make sure you're aware of your surroundings, and that's what the system is supposed to do. So overall, the Kia EV6 GT-Line rear-wheel drive is a fantastic electric vehicle, especially for all the tech that Kia is including on board for the vehicle and even for the price. Now, the only thing we hope that Kia improves upon is some of the driving dynamics with the steering feel and how numb that is.
Yes, if Kia could really improve those driving dynamics, we really think the Kia EV6 would be a very good vehicle. It is a very good vehicle for the price point and the technology it offers, but we really feel like the driving dynamic needs to be improved slightly. So we'll see what Kia does moving forward. But overall, we really enjoyed the Kia EV6. Well, anyways, everybody, if you like this video, make sure you like and share with your friends and subscribe to the CleanTechnica YouTube channel and check us out on our many other social platforms. Tyler and I are excited to be reviewing cars like the Kia EV6, so we're excited to share all of our experiences with you. And we'll catch you guys in the next CleanTechnica car review.